It's Tuesday, October 3rd, and this is Geeknights. Tonight we talk about Capcom Classics Mini Mix and DEFCON. Let's do this.
So today I did something that I haven't done for a long time. Made me feel real good about myself. I'm a big man now. I killed Hitler again.
Wait a minute. Hitler was dead before you were born.
Yeah, I know. And Commander Kilft brought him back, and then he killed the guy after busting out of some lightning, and then I shot him in the face after he said, "Damn you."
So you didn't go to work. You went to Germany instead?
See, well, I beat, for a game that I love, I beat Bionic Commando again.
Uh-huh.
Now, unlike other times I've beaten it, I beat it in a straight shot on a non-emulated, fully legitimate, no possible way to cheat medium.
Wait, when you were a kid, you never beat it on the NES?
Oh, I did, but I didn't beat it that quickly.
Uh-huh.
I mean, usually I'd save up my 9 continues, and then I'd spend like 6 of them on the last 2 stages, falling in the fire over and over and over and over again.
That's a good strategy. Falling in the fire, sure way to win.
Yeah, well, if I keep stacking up the bodies.
Yeah, I mean, if I had Mega Man 2 on a cartridge for the GBA or the DS, I would beat it just as easily. So, yeah, there's some games where you just, you never fail to beat them once you're the master.
I wonder, we got to look up how long those games are, because that's something stupid we could do at a con. Mega Man 2 versus Bionic Commando, who beats it first?
Yeah, races in, single-player platformers.
Yeah, especially if you're playing 2 different games that happen to have similar lengths or something crazy like that.
Yeah, this actually reminds me of something, is that a long time ago, you may not know, but the Mega Man games for the NES and the SNES and whatever are different from the Mega Man games for the Game Boy.
You don't say.
Yeah, Mega Man 2 and 3 for the Game Boy and there are other Game Boy Mega Mans are not the same as Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 3 for the NES. They're different games.
Yeah, not just
they
different.
have some of the same bosses, but they're different games mostly.
Yeah, it's not just different like, oh, they're in olive and brown instead of color. They're actually different games.
Yeah. So Capcom, they released a Mega Man mix, which is, Mega Man Anniversary Edition, which had all the Mega Mans. Then they had a Mega Man X, which had all the Mega Man X's. But they haven't released the supposedly going to be released Mega Man Game Boy mix.
Well, Scott, why haven't they released this wonderful gem that we've been waiting for all these years?
Well, a long time ago, there was some talking about, they lost code or something like that. And, yeah, whatever. The thing is, hey, couldn't they just get the cartridge? Because, I mean, I've seen cartridges around. They're not, super common, but they exist.
I'm pretty sure there's one at the GameStop or the EB or whatever across the river.
Yeah, and just rip the ROM out of it and put it on a Game Boy Advance cartridge with an emulator.
You know what? I'll bet the answer to that is simply that's probably the most rational, intelligent, and expedient way to solve this problem. So, of course, no one would do it.
I just want to point out that Capcom released Capcom Classics Mini Mix for the GBA that has 3 games in it, and they haven't released the Mega Man mix of Game Boy games.
3 games.
Yes, that is how many games.
Not 5. 5 is right out. But before we move on to the, news, the video game news, since it is Video Game Day, I would like to say, do the thing I've been doing for the last 2 weeks, and it'll end at the end of this week. We are going to be this weekend, October 6th, 7th, and 8th in Utica, New York for SITA-Con, SITA Con. It is an anime and gaming convention that...
Mostly anime,
but there's going to be pretty much 24/7 gaming.
Video gaming, mostly. But some also a little bit of role-playing gaming.
Yeah, also the fact that we're going to be bringing some German gaming.
Oh, we are definitely going to be breaking out some gaming of the Geeknights fashion.
So if you live anywhere within about 400 miles of Utica, New York, I highly recommend you come, because regardless of this convention, which is a first-run convention, it could be hit or miss. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that it's automatically going to be awesome, because I don't know. I'm optimistic. I think it'll be a good con, but I can guarantee 100%, you got the front row crew backing this up, there will be awesome to be had at this con.
Wait a minute. How much of the front row crew is backing this up? You and me, and that's it?
Well, we're pretty much the leaders.
Because everyone else copped out and they don't want to go.
The whole crew bailed on us.
Yeah, what the hell, guys? What the hell?
To their credit...
There's a convention right there, and you all bailed.
To their credit, One of the people who is not coming because a relative died. Another one is getting some rather horrible dental surgery. No one else could get off work, and some people live in Texas.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that, they could have come on Saturday for free. What?
Well, they'd have to drive there.
Yeah, it's relatively free. Come on, compared to what you're going to get out of this convention, as to what it costs to get there. Come on. Come on.
I mean, I don't think you guys understand just how much we're going to be pulling at this con. I mean, if you have never been around us and seen the kind of hijinks we pull whenever social order breaks down.
I think that we are, besides the con chair himself, we are doing more at this convention than anyone else.
I mean, in addition to the events we're running sanctioned, you will not understand the magnitude of the unsanctioned events we're going to be running at this con.
I mean, at the bare minimum, we're going to be in the Artist Alley making an evil ruckus. At the bare minimum. But as soon as the Artist Alley closes, watch us bust out crazy games. Watch us bust into the gaming room and set up impromptu video game tournaments. Watch us run around yelling and screaming, grabbing people and making mischief.
Yep. Plus, while the front row crew isn't going to be there, we're going to have Dave and Joel from Fast Karate for the Gentlemen, my favorite Rust Hurricane-related podcast. I got to stop making these Rust Hurricane jokes.
I know, but they can't make 10 Rust Hurricanes.
What's Mega Man weak against? Rust Hurricane.
Not really.
Yeah.
No, he's kind of equally weak against
You can't
all
defend
weapons.
against 10 Rust Hurricanes.
Okay, there we go.
Though also, as a total aside, before we get into the actual video game stuff, to the people out there who kind of question, hey, have you guys ever seen Homestar Runner? The answer is yes. We are well aware of Homestar Runner.
Great jab there.
Home
slice.
We were watching them Homestar Runners back when there were only 10 strong bad emails.
Homestar, no.
Homestar, my favorite character.
Homestar is by far the best character because he is indeed the pride of the peaches.
I'm saving the best for last. All I'd like to say is that while Homestar is awesome, it played itself out for us pretty much 4 years ago.
Oh, the crap. All right, let's get crazy good nuts.
Okay, with the video game news, we'll start with Scott because my news isn't actually video game related at all.
You suck. Anyway, so last year, Activision made a study about video game advertising, and everyone said, hey, Activision sponsored that study. We can't trust it.
Now, you might remember Activision from such classic hits as Pitfall, River Raid,
MechWarrior 2. Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 decades ago, they were a great game company.
Well, they're a game publisher, and they publish some good games, and they publish some bad games. And what do you want?
I can't recall.
The fact that they've stuck around since the Atari days and they're still here is pretty impressive.
You know why? Because there are people who buy games like BMX XXX.
Yeah, I guess.
That is the reason people like Activision can continue to exist.
Yeah, that's fine. At least you got to respect the fact that, a company like Atari is now just like a part of another company that gets bought and sold and traded around. Activision
like a Spanish whore.
Activision is still its own company owned by no one. At least I'm pretty sure they are. So,
yeah, our listeners will probably correct us if Scott is wrong.
I'm pretty sure that they're just their own game publisher owned by no one. So, yeah. They put out a study about game advertising and no one trusted it. So now, ComScore Media Metrics confirms the earlier findings.
I still think
that's a new study.
That's a really funny name for a place that does studies.
All the companies that do studies have names like that.
Here's the thing is, a lot of the ones that have the really long names like that are more or less study for hire, and I'm real dubious of anything they do.
Anyway, the study says, and this is the reason I believe it, is because the numbers make sense, is that heavy gamers, people who play at least 16 hours of video games a week.
There's probably a joke about heavy gamers and fat gamers and something.
They were the most receptive to in-game advertising. By most receptive, they mean that 37%, only 37% of heavy gamers agreed that the inclusion of ads makes games more realistic. And in terms of light and medium gamers, only 27% of them agreed that advertising makes games more realistic, which means that 63% of hardcore gamers and 73% of hardcore gamers do not agree that realistic, ads make games more realistic.
Now, I got a question about this. Why did they need a study?
Yeah.
That's common fucking sense.
Well, when they first, the topic of in-game advertising has been pretty hot in the past 6 months to a year or so. And when it first came up, I thought, ads in games aren't necessarily bad when they match the real world. I mean, it makes it really takes you out of a game sometimes. You drive down a highway in a game and the billboard says Bake-O something something and make up some phony product name that's so phony it just sticks out like a sore thumb and kind of ruins the atmosphere.
Yeah, and I gotta say, even in movies, I always hated it when someone was drinking, unlabeled soda because Pepsi and Coke wouldn't let him use the logo, but at the same time, all that BS.
Yeah, exactly what I'm talking about,
I mean, sometimes a guy drinks his Dr. Pepper. Let him drink his Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, and there have been a lot of games in the past that have had in-game advertising. Like Ninja Turtles 2 had all those Pizza Hut ads, but those Pizza Hut ads made sense because, the Ninja Turtles ate pizza, and they were just billboards on the wall in the game. They didn't stick out like sore thumbs. They didn't ruin the game.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm playing Grand Theft Auto and there's real billboards, I'd have no problem with that.
In fact, I just uncovered the Ninja Turtles 2 arcade version for the NES instruction book recently, and on the back of it is a coupon for a free personal pan pizza that expired in 1991. 1991. I think in 2011, 20 years after that coupon expired, I'm going to go to a Pizza Hut and try to use the coupon.
With some sort of hidden HD camera, and if YouTube still exists, we're going to YouTube that at business.
Yeah, maybe we should just use it now while we still can. I don't know.
Yeah, now the problem I have with the study is that they really, it seems like they just asked if you like ads in games or not, but, the context of the ad and the way the ad is used matters a lot more than any other issue at stake here.
Yeah.
And also, the article goes on to talk about how actually, this advertising generates a grand total of $1 to $2 of profit per title sold. Now, they also make the point...
If you compare that to the number of people who aren't going to buy the game because of ads, you're probably going to end up losing money, not making money.
Well, they also point out, if that's all it makes, why not have an advertising version and then a non-advertising version for $1.50 more?
Hey.
And see which one people buy, and maybe you didn't need the advertising one at all.
Yeah, maybe. I think that, the problem here is that if people put ads in games that were tasteful and correct, no one would even notice or complain. Maybe some, blog would notice and write a thing about it, and most people would go, Like, if you went into a bar in a game, and the neon signs said Bud, Coors, and Miller, no one would, that's how bars look. That's how every bar in the country is like that, That's just fine. Who cares?
All right, counterpoint. Not that I agree with this, but here's why. One, all these companies, and in general, this is a big problem with IP law that I think should be rectified. I am of the mind that if you create an advertisement that is shown publicly and published, that it should be able to be used in any medium by anyone for any purpose. Because now you have a situation where a company has, their advertising copy out there, billboard, something. But if you're filming a movie and that billboard is in that movie, or that guy's drinking that kind of soda, you can't do that. The company usually won't let you do it without permission. So instead, whenever you're going to have a product placement, they say drink a can of soda, instead of just having it be whatever can of soda they had in the fridge, they have to go and, say, Pepsi, will you pay us to let your product be featured? And it ends up being a product placement instead of just a product that happened to be used.
Yeah, but regardless of what's going on behind the scenes, it's all about when you're playing a video game, you want to stay immersed. You don't want to be taken out of the game. Just like when you're watching a movie, you want to be taken into the movie, where, you don't even see the people sitting in front of you. The movie takes up your whole brain. Your full attention is in it, and that's where you are. And, a fake product can sometimes take you out of that, but so can, the obtrusive placement of a real product. It has to be toned down, realistic placements of real products, or, usually toned down placements of real, to keep you immersed,
Yeah, good. I'm playing Counter-Strike. There's a sprite machine. Bad. I'm playing Counter-Strike. There's an ad for World of Warcraft emblazoned on the wall in the middle of the forest.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is that, if there was proper in-game advertising, I wouldn't give a shit because I wouldn't even notice it. But there's a lot of... All the in-game advertising that's going on now seems to be bullshit. For example, I was playing PlanetSide a long time ago. Remember, I complained about it and whatever. In the ready rooms in PlanetSide, I think probably because I was playing for free and not paying any money, there were these giant Castrol GTX ads on the walls.
That's just silly.
It is just silly. It has no place in that world where they probably don't even need oil, and definitely don't need Castrol GTX. And why would they put...
Only a gamer could make that argument.
I know, but why are there giant ads for the product when you can't even choose products in the game?
Well,
and the ads are in the teleportation rooms. I mean, come on.
I think part of the reason for
Shouldn't
that...
they at least be in the vehicle bay?
When it comes to realistic games, would be simply that if the ads in a generally realistic game are in the same manner and placement of ads in the real world, people would ignore them because people ignore ads in the real world.
That's true, yeah. Because a lot of the ads in video games are Scooby-Dooified, where they stick out, you know? You'll have all these really high-resolution textures, and then you'll have this JPEG that's really just slapped on a wall somewhere.
I mean, worse
that's
than
like a bright color. The lighting doesn't affect it. You know, your bullet marks don't appear on it. It's, you know.
Well, of course, if the bullet marks appeared, I would be drawing penises in bullet on every ad I saw.
You know, your flamethrower doesn't burn it. It has to act like everything else in the game. It can't be Scooby-Doo, or else it doesn't work.
However, the advertisers usually won't go for that because they don't want their, logo to be defiled in any way.
Yeah.
They want full, total control.
And they're only making $1 to $2 per copy of the game. So
why is it even an issue? Why even bother?
Why have this study?
Because they were trying to sell the viability of advertising in their games to advertisers so that they could make money.
Yeah.
See, everyone always forgets that the advertiser, it's not the kind of industry you think. You are the product being sold by the person who makes the thing to the advertisers. You're selling your eyes to the advertisers. You're the commodity. They are the customer. So they're not trying to please you in this sense. They're trying to please the advertiser regardless of what you actually do.
They've already got your eyeballs, that they're trying to collect your eyeballs. With scoops. They got ice cream scoops. They pluck them out of your head, and then they sell them to somebody.
I saw a movie once where someone did that.
Yeah?
Well, they took someone's eye out with a teaspoon, and then they took their other eye out with a teaspoon, and it happened in Russia, and I have no idea.
Were they already dead?
No.
Ew. Okay, enough of that. What's your news?
My news? I was in 5th grade. I don't remember anything about this movie.
What's your news?
If anyone remembers a movie in Russia where a guy gets his eyeballs scooped out with a teaspoon.
What's Rim's news?
Why, you don't like the eyeball scooping?
Not really, no.
All right, my news will be quick because I don't want to get into too much depth about this, but New Jersey has had some problems lately. They're in debt because the government is.
Wait, when does New Jersey not have problems?
Actually, people give Jersey a bad rap, but once you get past, the Newark, Jersey City, like the area right next to New York, the rest of Jersey's not like that.
Yeah. The only good thing I can say about New Jersey is that it has boardwalks, it has Six Flags, and it has more comic book stores per square foot than any other state, probably.
No, they got cheap gas, too.
All right, cheap gas,
gas is
but
always
it's
a
full
plus.
serve only, so that kind of balances out.
Yeah, I still don't get full serve. I mean, I see why Jersey does it, but I don't like other people pumping my gas.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, I just kind of... In fact, I accidentally, today, I went to get gas down in the Bronx, right?
Mm-hmm. And
I pull into the gas station, and the gas is like $2.35 a gallon.
All right.
I'm like, hot damn. So I pull in, and I start to get out, and the guy points up, and it says full. And I look around, and I realize the whole thing is full service.
Huh?
And it was weird because it was not New Jersey.
You can. There are full services outside of New Jersey.
See, here's the thing. That's the first one I've ever seen. I've never had full service outside of New Jersey in my life.
Usually in Connecticut, at least, most of the gas pumps are like, you go to a gas station and one of them will say full and the rest say self.
Oh, yeah, you know what?
Because old people will go up to the full.
See, where I grew up, in Sterling Heights in Detroit.
Oh, wait, in Rochester, in RIT, right next to RIT at that coastal, that was also the mechanic. You know that place?
Yeah.
That was a full-service only gas station.
I never went there.
I know. I never went there for gas. I went there for mechanics.
Because it was more expensive.
I know. Well, no, it was actually cheaper usually, but...
It wasn't cheaper than the place up Scottsville Road a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, no one cares about that.
No one cares.
But where I grew up, every service station had the full-service sign, but no one actually had full service. Those signs were just legacy. If you pulled up and sat there, no one would do anything. They just stare at you. Which every now and then would happen when some out-of-stater was driving around.
Yeah.
Anyway, now, New Jersey has decided that the best way to get rid of their $4.5 billion debt...
not spend $4.5 billion on crap.
Well, the thing is, they've already spent it. They can't undo it. It's not a deficit, it's a debt.
Get taxes from people. 'Cause
All right,
New Jersey has very high property taxes.
Yeah, it's some of the highest in the country, and as a result, they have some of the best schools in the country.
Yeah, and take the money that you don't have to spend on crap and pay off your debt.
Yeah, but then the government shuts down.
Uh,
Now, here's the thing. The way they're handling this, aside from writing 1 billion parking and speeding tickets everywhere, so watch out if you're traveling in Jersey. But they've decided to, one, raise the sales tax to 7%, and more importantly, expand the things that sales tax covers now. You have to pay sales tax on health club memberships, security alarms, tanning, storage space, and iTunes Music Store downloads.
Wait a minute. All those other things I can understand perfectly, and I don't know why people weren't paying sales tax on those things before. But iTunes Music Store downloads.
Now, one, Apple probably, I don't know the deal, but I'll bet they want nothing to do with this.
No, they got nothing to do with it.
Which means that the way Jersey is going to have to enforce this is that you'll have to declare your iTunes Music downloads on your tax forms as like a use tax or something, and they'll get you if you don't pay it.
Nah, I just pay the minimum because I'm a wuss.
Now, yeah, I pay them. Of course, the minimum for my income is like a couple bucks.
Yeah.
Plus, I didn't buy so much online last year.
It's really, so eventually someone's going to have to fix this problem, perhaps, I think, with a federal law, because there's a lot of state border crossings going on here with the internets that, finally seals the deal on how we pay sales tax on things online. If I buy a book from Amazon...
You realize that if you go to a different county and buy something, technically you have to pay a use tax because you would have paid the piddly point whatever % sales tax from the county you lived in.
Yeah.
But because you left the county you lived in and went to another county to buy something, you're somehow ripping off your county.
Yeah.
And we're not going to talk about tax law.
No, we're not. But I'm just saying someone has to fix it sometime. This is a problem that's going to eventually jump up and bite everyone in the ass when we're thinking about these more important things.
Yep. I mean,
it's like after we solve this terrorism bullshit and this DRM and freedom bullshit, and those days are behind us, and it's good and it's good times again. This is going to be the problem that comes up next.
Yeah, I mean, just generally sales tax law and use tax enforcement in general, because use tax was never enforced until states started running out of money, and then suddenly they started trying to enforce it, but it's impossible to enforce. So instead of enforcing it right and having you actually pay it, they make you pay a minimum penalty, and that way you're basically paying the extortion.
I don't know if it's a penalty.
No, it's basically you pay an amount of money in order to be protected from having to pay what you actually owe, even though you probably owe less than that minimum.
Yeah. It's just too much effort to figure it out.
But here's my other issue about this, because we could do a whole show about this stupid thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you buy something from iTunes, right? It's a DRM'd file.
Uh-oh. Oh.
Now, do you really own it? What did you just purchase? Are you purchasing a license to listen to that music? Are you purchasing the music itself? Are you purchasing the file? How is this going to be taxed? What if I give it to someone else? What if I sell it to someone else? What if I trade it with someone else? If you start taxing this shit, there are so many ramifications that I'm sure John Corzine has never even heard of. I mean, he's probably trying to jam his envelope into a tube.
Speaking of which, I was going to use it as news, but there's not much to say about it. But today is Day Against DRM.
So, yeah. DRM bad.
Yep, so
fire bad.
I guess since, today is already over because most people listen to this the day after as opposed to at night like they should be listening to it.
Yeah, because everyone, is going to listen to our podcast at 11 o'clock at night.
Hey, in some parts of the world, it is 11 o'clock a.m.
Yeah, hey to all of our overseas listeners, especially Australia. You are probably the most represented overseas place we have.
Yep. So anyway,
and I urge all of you to fly out here and hang out with us. At
yeah,
Synagogue.
and if you think that your country has more people listening to us than Australia does, then go to Frapper, our Frapper map, and put your stuff there.
Yeah, I want to see a battle. I want to see if the Australians are really on top or not.
Yeah, but yeah,
if it's true, if Australians are the biggest non-U.S. listener base we have, I'll buy a bottle of Foster's and break it for you.
Anyway. Yeah, today's anti-DRM day, Day Against DRM. Do something against DRM.
I pirated some music.
Yeah. If you go to defectivebydesign.org, you'll see all the things people have done today. Or yesterday, depending on what day you listen.
Things of the day. Da-na-na-na-na-na. Things of the day.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Yeah, I've been fiddling around with music, as you can tell from the last several episodes, because I'm thinking of changing up a lot of the music in Season 2 of Geeknights. If you have an opinion on that, hit the forums, let us know.
If you are good at making music, try to make music, but we want something jazzy, kind of like the same kind of music we got now, only different.
Yep. Anyway, my thing of the day actually lets me tell a story from way back. This was either mid
57 or 58.
58. I'm pretty sure it was 1998. Might have been early 1999, but I think it was late 1998. I was in high school. Had my car. Me, Ken, and Dan, the core of our D&D group, went to my first LAN party in Southfield, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
We crammed my Pentium 200 and their computers into my car. The car is so small, Dan had to sit with a 17-inch CRT on his lap for an hour while we drove.
No.
I had a cell phone with me because my parents were worried something would happen because I'd never driven somewhere like that before. I mean, I barely had my license.
Yeah.
So I had this brick of a cell phone that had to be plugged into the car to use. And we go to this LAN party, and it was the first time. I mean, I had a ping of 1, and I was playing Action Quake
On a LAN.
It was crazy. That was amazing. I couldn't believe how awesome it was to play LAN games on a LAN. I couldn't. Also, we pirated everything. Everyone copied every program they had, every music file they had, and we all swapped.
That's what LAN parties were back in the
Except
day.
this one guy who didn't have a big enough hard drive and couldn't get it all.
See, if I was going to a LAN party today, like that giant ones they have in Sweden, Norway, and shit, where this giant convention halls, it's full of computers.
Yeah, where you stake out a spot and live there for a few days.
Yeah, you can go online and look at pictures of these things. If I was going to one of those places, I would buy a 300 gigabyte hard drive and bring it with me. Hell, I might buy a NAS and bring it with me.
Yeah.
And then it's perfectly empty. I would format it with an XFS partition and then fill it up as the LAN party progressed.
So my first LAN party, and towards the end of it, it's winding down. It's about 4 in the morning, and I'm pretty much totally knocked up on Jolt Cola after playing a whole bunch of Action Quake and Weapons Factory. And then they decide, all right, it's movie time, because one guy had this projector, and he was playing Quake on the projector, which also blew my mind back then, because projectors are common now. They were not common in the late 90s. A projector you could plug into your computer was this crazy, expensive, amazing thing.
It was. The guy was probably a rich
He was.
guy.
He funded the LAN party. We had to pay some pittance to get in.
Awesome.
And also, while we played the big games, the projector showed the score the whole time.
Woohoo!
But
yeah, HLTV is the awesome. A lot of people don't know about HLTV.
that wasn't HLTV.
I know, but I'm not going to talk about it now.
Okay, but that wasn't HLTV.
I know.
That
but
was Quake 2.
I was just reminded of the existence of HLTV.
Which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're there, and it's movie time. So they're all talking, what should we watch? Let's watch Father Fragg's Best. Woo! And none of us have any idea what the hell this guy's talking about. Then he starts up Quake 2, and he loads a mod. And the mod wasn't a game mod. It was a mod that basically played out a sitcom called Father Fragg's Best within Quake 2. It was the first encounter I ever had with machinima. Machinima is the idea of taking games and using the games to create content. Like using Quake 2, the engine of Quake 2, to film a movie. And don't bother reading the Wikipedia on this if you're more interested in it, because the Wikipedia article is kind of dubious and full of crap. Maybe I'll rewrite it someday. But this is one of the earliest well-known machinimas out there. So you remember Scott's thing of the day yesterday, the urinal thing? That was machinima to what, The Sims?
Yeah, The Sims and SimCity and whatever.
Yeah, or there's a very, very popular one to, Avenue Q, the internet is for porn, to World of Warcraft.
And there's Red versus Blue with Halo and whatever.
Yep. That is all machinima. And this is one of the earliest items of this.
Yeah, it is one of the first machinimas.
I'll warn you, it's funny if you're a hardcore gamer, and even then, not so much.
Yeah, it was back in the day, it was hilarious because things like this didn't exist. So you shouldn't watch this expecting to be laughing hysterically unless you're super old school.
Yeah, it's like that Hyama Kagajuichi thing.
Yeah.
It's not that good. It's more that
It's like All Your Base belong to us. It's not funny anymore.
It's a history lesson. It's a museum exhibit.
Exactly.
Watching this is seeing a piece of internet history.
Yep.
However, if you need Quake 2 to play it, because I looked and I didn't see any video mirrors of it. So you basically have to install Quake 2, which is free, and then install this mod, and then run the mod.
Mm-hmm.
And then this thing will play out, including outtakes at the end.
Nah.
It is worth watching.
It is. All right, so collegehumor.com has this new awesome video called Street Fighter, The Later Years. Now, it's actually really well done and awesome. Like, you think it's just going to be corny, but it looks like, if it was any better, it could be put in a real movie theater.
Yeah, I mean, Scott says, there's a Street Fighter 2 thing on College Humor, and I think, whatever.
Yeah. So it starts out with these two kids playing Street Fighter in an arcade.
Yeah, it's like Chun-Li versus Zangief.
No, it's Zangief versus Dalsim.
Oh, Dalsim. Was it?
Yeah, I think it was.
I think in that fight, it might have been Chun-Li.
No, anyway. So one guy's Zangief, and he's like, man, if this were real, I could totally kick your ass. He's like, what? If you were you or if you were Zangief? He's like, no, if I was Zangief, right? In the background now, you see this janitor who kind of looks like Zangief. He starts crying.
Yeah, especially when the one kid's like, Zangief's a bitch.
Yeah, and, I'm not going to tell you where it goes from there because what's the point of watching this? But it's really well done, it's really hilarious, and there's going to be more parts, which I can't wait for.
This is what the Street Fighter movies should have been.
I mean, think about this, yeah. There was a Street Fighter movie, a live-action one in the United States.
Yeah, we're not talking about the anime.
With Van Damme, and it was ass. It's famous for being ass. I saw it in the theater.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
What did I know? It was such an ass movie.
I knew.
Everyone knew it was ass. It was ass.
If you like Jean-Claude Van Damme, you watch fucking Bloodsport, and that's it.
Kickboxer, but
no, Bloodsport.
Whatever. Anyway, some fucking kids on College Humor have made a better movie, and they only did 5 minutes. If the rest of it's like this, though, hot damn.
Now we're not saying better than Street Fighter 2, the anime.
No. We're saying better than Street Fighter 2, the American live-action movie.
If this was a trailer for an actual movie, I would see it on opening night.
I would bootleg it and watch it before opening night, and then wait in line and see.
I believe that part is unstated.
Yeah, so go and watch this. If you know anything about Street Fighter at all, this will be funny. If you don't know anything about Street Fighter, it's not going to be as funny, but you'll still see how well done it is.
So, on to the main bit. We're going to go back to the original format of Gaming Day, meaning Scott and I are each going to review a separate game, kind of Anime World Order style.
Holy crap.
I don't know, this is some kind of crazy trend. Or maybe because we both just got into new games.
Or maybe it's because we just have so much stuff to cover that we can't possibly cover it at the rate of one thing per week.
Or maybe the fact that I'm not going to talk much about my thing.
Yeah, that could be it too.
All right, so I've been waiting for this pretty much since I heard it was coming out, and I bought it as soon as was reasonably possible. The Capcom Classics Mini Mix. It's a Game Boy Advance cartridge that has 3 awesome classic games from the NES days.
But Rim only cares about one of those games.
Yes, effectively, I paid $20, which is less than I paid when the fucking game came out, for Bionic Commando, a.k.a. Hitler no Fukatsu.
Hitler no Fukatsu.
Now, this game is famous for, one, being one of the most innovative platformers in the history of early gaming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it looks like a normal platformer. Guy, gun shoots. But here's the gimmick. Guy can't jump at all.
He's a white man.
Instead, you've got this bionic arm, and you can grab things and swing around, and the game is mostly acrobatics.
Yeah, pretty much. It's all about shooting the bionic arm in the correct direction with the correct timing. And that is how you move around in this game. And the levels are complex, and if you can't manipulate that bionic arm properly, you're not going to make it very far. Did I give enough innuendo with the bionic arm?
I think you did.
Okay.
I was going to make a joke about in the right direction.
Yep, with the right timing.
Yeah.
Manipulating the bionic arm. Okay.
Now, if you've never played this game, find a ROM or something and play it.
Or no, go buy Capcom Classics Mini Mix.
Oh, yeah, I'll get to that.
Okay.
But this game is absolutely fantastic. As in, it's one of my favorite games ever. I'm not going to talk. I'll do a separate show about Bionic Commando because we can talk all about Hitler. But that's not the point here because it also comes with Strider, an equally classic Nintendo game.
Strider is classic. However, it is the opinion of me and most other people that I have encountered that the Sega Genesis version of Strider is the real Strider, and the NES version was kind of eh.
I have not really played either to an extent to where I could make a judgment.
Yes.
The game is pretty typically early NES game.
Yeah, Strider, the character is Strider Hiryu, who is a very famous character because of these games. But, you'll often see him in, all the voting for, best video game characters and such.
Yeah.
And he's basically, a super pretty shonen boy who...
Yeah, the plot is something like...
does lots of fancy swords and...
Our friend Kane has been kidnapped. Kill him.
Yeah,
and the guy's like, what? I can't kill him.
He does lots of fancy jumps and sword slashes while killing robots.
Yeah, it'd probably make a better anime than a game.
Yeah, it's a pretty good platformer, basically just as good as Bionic Commando, except for the lack of innovative bionic arm manipulation.
I would say no, because the controls in Strider are a lot looser than Bionic Commando.
Yeah, they are loose, but...
I mean, Bionic Commando is one of the tightest games out there.
But in terms of being a platforming game where you whack stuff and it blows up, it's kind of... It's in the same vein. They weren't wrong to put it on the same cartridge.
Yeah, of course, the third game on here is Mighty Final Fight. Now,
which is one of the greatest Final Fights.
I want to say right now, in case any of you aren't really up on Japanese sensibilities, but Final Fight were some fairly violent walk down the street and beat people up games.
Yeah, they're pretty much, in those days, there were 2 series of walk down the street, beat people up games. There was Final Fight and Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage is for the Genesis and stuff, and Final Fight was for the NES and SNES.
Yep, I played Final Fight in the arcade a lot, and I only ever played as Hagar.
Yeah. Streets of Rage, I actually think the series overall was better, but if you're talking about an individual game of walk down the street, beat people up, River City Ransom. But besides that, Final Fight 3, I think, for the SNES that had the really hot police girl.
To not get off track here.
Yeah.
Adding Mighty to Final Fight does not make them larger or stronger. It makes them super deformed and funny.
That's what Mighty Final Fight is all about.
It's Final Fight
SD Final Fight
is a romp. You walk to the right, jump kicking people in the face until they die, and you repeat it until you've killed everyone.
That's what that game is.
Now, I'm not going to review the 3 games because they're classic games. I mean, what am I going to say? I could review them all separately in other shows years from now. But the actual GBA cartridge is very high quality. As in, it is 100% faithful to the 3 games. You can't save your game, which is the only thing I actually would complain about.
Mm-hmm.
You can't glitch, you can't cheat, you can't do anything. Basically, you start the ROM. It is identical to how it was on the Nintendo, right down to the slowdowns and the glitches.
Except for the aspect ratio, because you're on a GBA screen or DS screen.
The aspect ratio has changed slightly. That's it. Nothing else has changed. All the same cheat codes work. All the same glitches work. The games are 100% faithful to the originals, which is a little annoying in the fact that you can't save your game or suspend or anything.
Yeah, that can be a little annoying. You expect those sorts of niceties in, remakes or re-releases of very old games.
Of course, it's only $20.
Yeah, $20, GBA game, brand new, 3 games.
I'd especially recommend it if you've never played Bionic Commando. I mean, that game, goddamn. Now, I wanted to get through that real quick because the more interesting game to talk about today is the game Scott's been playing that I will be playing as soon as I have the ability to do so.
Yes. Now, I don't know, I hope you've seen the movie War Games. If you haven't seen the movie War Games, what the fuck's wrong with you? What kind of geek are you? You know what? Everyone's seen this movie, and you have to see. It's sort
Would
of
you
like
like to play a game?
Yeah, it's sort of like a requirement. How about a nice game of chess? It's a really classic movie, and in the movie, there's a computer, whatever, and at the end, the computer's playing this game. What's the name of the game? It's like nuclear.
Global
Thermonuclear
War.
Global Thermonuclear War.
Now, aside from the fact that the movie War Games made hacker culture known to the masses, that was the inspiration for almost all of the computer geeks out there currently.
Yep, pretty much.
I mean, the movie showed war dialing right away.
Anyway, The game Thermonuclear War, Global Thermonuclear War, is basically a map of the world that was like an outline of a map of the world, and it had little pictures of missiles with lines behind them showing the trajectories of the ICBMs in the event of a global thermonuclear war. And it would show up, U.S. would get totally blown up, and Russia would get totally blown up. You know?
Yeah, I mean, this is, in movies like, I don't know.
It was in the Cold War era.
Like Dr. Strangelove, one of those, the big board where you see, here's what the people actually doing, all the big decisions are seeing, and, nuclear war, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. This is made by Introversion Software, the people who brought you Uplink and Darwinia.
I believe in Uplink, there's an Easter egg where you can play Global Thermonuclear War.
Is there? I don't know if there is.
I read that in multiple places.
Okay.
I didn't play Uplink enough to find it.
Yeah, I wasn't good enough at Uplink to get anywhere, really. I could do a few missions, and then I was stuck. But the point is that this company is pretty much my hope for PC gaming. They're the only people making innovative new PC games, and they seem to specialize in taking the way things appear in movies and making them real. Like Uplink is basically a game where you hack. You hack the same way that people in movies hack, not the way people hack in real life.
Yeah, images of people flying by while you're looking for the file, and you see, like, the red line of the tracer program that's tracking you down.
Yeah. So that's also a very good game, Uplink, but DEFCON is their new game, which is super cheap. I mean, this thing is $15 on Steam for the full version.
Yep.
$15. In November, there's going to be a Linux version. You can you can just download the game. You can download the demo for free.
It's $17.50 to download it from the DEFCON site.
Yeah, it's $17.50 for the non-Steam version. So if you have Steam, if you got a Steam account, I recommend you use the Steam one.
Yep.
But this is essentially what, the big war map in the war room is like in a movie, only a game.
I just picture, but I deny them my essence.
Now,
the game's creepy as fuck.
It's a pretty creepy game, I gotta say, because, while the strategy and the play of the game is pretty typical for what, a very clever RTS that, doesn't have the same problems as every other RTS, it has this eerie kind of music, and you are nuking the hell out of the whole world, and you're getting nuked, and it's, you hear sometimes it's like really faint screaming, I think,
but it's so understated, like because it's all just kind of this, like, not really. It's kind of like what the president of the United States, at least in the movies, would be watching as this war went down.
Unless DC got nuked.
Well, he's obviously in, like, Looking Glass or something.
Obviously.
But like you click on Tokyo, and you just launch ICBM, and then you'll see later, like in Russia, like launch detected, meaning that they're launching ICBMs, and you don't know what's going on. And then you see your little trajectory, and it hits Tokyo, and there's a white flash, not even a flash, just a white thing appears, and it just says 4 million dead.
Yeah, it says, like, in big square letters, like Tokyo 4.1 million dead,
and that's it.
Yeah.
Actually, I love how the game is scored. You were scored in the number of people you kill.
Yeah, you kill people, you get points, and you get killed, you lose points.
Yeah,
but
the unit
that's just
score,
the default scoring.
Yeah,
There's other scoring methods.
The unit score is effectively megadeaths.
Yeah, but the game is labeled the world's first genocide 'em up, which is pretty hilarious, I say. Yep. But
well, isn't the website like killemall.com?
Yeah, but the interesting thing about this...
everybody dies.
Everybody-dies.com. The reason that this game is so awesome to play is because it's an RTS that doesn't have problems of other RTSs. You know how if you play Warcraft 3, it's essentially a game of who knows what order to build the units in, who can click the fastest to build the units the fastest, and, who can build a whole bunch of one unit and send them off to destroy the other guy's base.
Yep, it's who figured out the click sequence that makes one more tank than the other guy to win the game.
Yeah, now in DEFCON, that's not how it works. Everyone gets pretty much the same amount of stuff depending on which territory you pick and all that, but you start with stuff, and that's what you get. You don't get any more than that. You're never going to get more nukes or anything like that. You get what you get, you deploy it, and you spend the rest of the game utilizing it, and then it's over. Now, the game starts at DEFCON 1. You then have a few minutes before DEFCON 2, DEFCON 3, etc. Game starts at DEFCON 5 and counts down to 1. So In DEFCON 5, that's when you're deploying stuff. Now, you can set the speed of the game. The lowest speed is real time, where 1 second in the game is 1 second in real life.
Now, the Wikipedia claims that people play it in full real time, and they spend most of the time diplomacying.
Yeah, if they do that, they're crazy, because it takes 3 hours to play that game if you do it in real time.
Well, it says here they can take up to 8 hours.
Oh, wow, that's even crazier.
Yeah.
But the point is that most people don't play the game in real time. At least I haven't ever played in real time all the way through. You generally play at a sped up level. Now, the way the speed works is you choose a speed, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And in a multiplayer game, it goes at the lowest speed voted. So let's say everyone wants to go at max speed, but Rim wants to go at real time. It goes at real time. So Rim puts it in real time, does whatever he wants to do, and then speeds it up again when he's done managing whatever he wanted to manage, And I think that's a pretty good system, actually, But, so the game goes from DEFCON 5 to 1, and in the early DEFCONs, you're building stuff, and then there's a boat fight, and then there's the nuke fight.
Yep, like pretty much DEFCON 5 and 4 are essentially the same.
Yeah, only it doesn't matter. It's just DEFCON 4 is sort of like DEFCON 3 is coming up, and DEFCON 3 is when the boats fight.
Yep, conventional warfare is authorized.
Yeah, the boat fight is pretty much where the game is decided, I've noticed, because if your boats survive to the later levels, they will be able to prevent a lot of nukes from hitting you, and they will also be able to deliver a lot of nukes. So if you put all your boats in an ocean and win that ocean, you can now have a serious advantage in terms of nukes going over that ocean. And then the game goes on some more, and then the ICBMs go, and woo, there's just nukes everywhere. And it's all about defending from the nukes and sending the nukes so that they destroy the other guy.
I really want to stress how eerie it is. I mean, even watching this game is a very eerie experience.
Yeah, it's just the music generally, and how it looks, and it's really, they get the point across.
And yet at the same time, there seems to be enough strategic depth and fun to make the game incredibly interesting.
It's really strategic. Like, there's stuff I couldn't even begin to think about. Like, you have these, the missile silos. Here's an example. The missile silos, when they're not shooting missiles, they are defending from missiles. So, and if you decide to fire a missile, everyone now knows that there's a silo there because they can detect launches. So it's sort of like giving up your position when you fire, but you're also giving up your position when you put your defenses down. And there's all sorts of other stuff like that. And there's radar, and there's submarines, and there's airplanes, and it's out of control. But there's not too many things to manage in the game. I mean, you only have 3 kinds of buildings and 3 kinds of boats, and that's it. It is barely anything to manage, and if you do the tutorial and you pay attention, you'll pretty much be the master of doing everything in the game, but you won't have a strategy that wins at all. And let's see, I played this game against the CPU a bunch of times, and I played online 4 times, and the 4th time was a game with a lot of people, and I did okay, but when I played the one-on-one games, I won all 3 of them, The one complaint I have about the game is it's hard to get a game together. Like, you'll go online to join a server, and the guy will drop out.
This isn't a complaint against the game, it's just a complaint against people playing it.
Yeah, it's like you'll play against a guy, he won't know what he's doing, he'll quit. You'll see a server, you'll try to connect to it, and it won't work, you have to quit and try another server. It's generally just sort of a pain to get a game going. Once the game is going with reliable players, you're okay.
Yeah, it seems like you really got to play with reliable people who are dedicated to at least one full game.
Yeah, I think what the ideal situation is just to find your friends and play against them and screw the people on the internet because you can't rely on them.
Well, plus, playing against your friends, one aspect of the game is that you can form alliances, which are even in the game. It lets you share radar and
you
line
can
of sight.
play with anywhere from 2 to 6 people. So, I played a game that was 3-on-3. It was 3 people versus 3 people, and the alliance is set up from the beginning and unchanged, but, that's not the point. You could play a game of 6, 6 individual players, and you make alliances and break alliances in the game.
Yeah, and it's an actual game mechanic. But the thing is, while you can do all the alliances you want, there is no such thing as an allied victory. So, in the end, the alliance will end in a traitor because it has to.
Yep. Only one person wins, and that's whoever gets the most kills.
So I could see spending like 4 hours playing this game with all your friends, with the full-on negotiating with each other. Like, Scott, we have to gang up and take out Katsu because he's a renegade, and that East Asian co-prosperity sphere can't stand to be there any longer.
There are lots and lots of advanced play options, but I haven't even begun to explore them yet because I'm still not done with the regular play option yet.
So I guess in closing, check this game out, and probably in a month or two, once more people have played it, and we've played it a lot, we'll talk about it again.
Maybe.
Sort of final thoughts once we figured it out.
Well, there's a demo of the game that I urge everyone to get, even if you're not going to... I mean, this thing runs on a Pentium 600 megahertz processor.
You know what it doesn't run in?
With a GeForce 2.
Linux.
It will in November. In November, there's a Linux version. So don't worry about that. That's another thing. Intro version software is very good about supporting Linux. But the demo version, the biggest caveat of the demo version is that in a multiplayer game, only one player can be a demo player. So if you get the demo and your friend gets the demo, you can't play against each other. It doesn't work. But you can play against me because I bought the game. Just two of your friends who have the demo and me couldn't play together because there's more than one demo player. Did I get that across?
I think you got it across.
Okay. I think that's a pretty clever way to differentiate the demo from the full version.
Yeah?
Yeah. So, all right. DEFCON is an awesome game. If you haven't seen War Games, you need to go see that movie ASAP and download this game.
And that was Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcasts, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geeknights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night. It's Tuesday, October 3rd, and this is Geeknights. Tonight we talk about Capcom Classics Mini Mix and DEFCON.
Let's do this. So today I did something that I haven't done for a long time. Made me feel real good about myself. I'm a big man now. I killed Hitler again.
Wait a minute. Hitler was dead before you were born.
Yeah, I know. And Commander Kilft brought him back, and then he killed the guy after busting out of some lightning, and then I shot him in the face after he said, "Damn you."
So you didn't go to work. You went to Germany instead?
See, I beat, for a game that I love, I beat Bionic Commando again.
Uh-huh.
Now, unlike other times I've beaten it, I beat it in a straight shot on a non-emulated, fully legitimate, no possible way to cheat medium.
Wait, when you were a kid, you never beat it on the NES?
Oh, I did, but I didn't beat it that quickly.
Uh-huh.
I mean, usually I'd save up my 9 continues, and then I'd spend like 6 of them on the last 2 stages, falling in the fire over and over and over and over again.
That's a good strategy. Falling in the fire, sure way to win.
Yeah, well, if I keep stacking up the bodies.
Yeah, I mean, if I had Mega Man 2 on a cartridge for the GBA or the DS, I would beat it just as easily. So, yeah, there's some games where you just, all bailed.
To their credit, one of the people who is not coming because a relative died. Another one is getting some rather horrible dental surgery. No one else could get off work, and some people live in Texas.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that, they could have come on Saturday for free.
Well, they'd have to drive there.
Yeah, it's relatively free. Come on, compared to what you're going to get out of this convention, as to what it costs to get there, come on. Come on.
I mean, I don't think you guys understand just how much we're going to be pulling at this con. I mean, if you have never been around us and seen the kind of hijinks we pull whenever social order breaks down.
I think that we are, besides the con chair himself, we are doing more at this convention than anyone else.
I mean, in addition to the events we're running sanctioned, you will not understand the magnitude of the unsanctioned events we're going to be running at this con.
I mean, at the bare minimum, we're going to be in the Artist Alley making an evil ruckus. At the bare minimum. But as soon as that Artist Alley closes, watch us bust out crazy games. Watch us bust into the gaming room and set up impromptu video game tournaments. Watch us run around yelling and screaming, grabbing people and making mischief.
Yep. Plus, while the front row crew is going to be there, we're going to have Dave and Joel from Fast Karate for the Gentlemen, my favorite Rust Hurricane-related podcast. I got to stop making these Rust Hurricane jokes.
I know, but they can't make 10 Rust Hurricanes.
What's Mega Man weak against? Rust Hurricane.
Not really.
Yeah.
No, he's kind of equally weak against
You can't
all
defend
weapons.
against 10 Rust Hurricanes. You know what? I'll bet the answer to that is simply that's probably the most rational, intelligent, and expedient way to solve this problem. So, of course, no one would do it.
I just want to point out that Capcom released Capcom Classics Mini Mix for the GBA that has 3 games in it, and they haven't released the Mega Man mix of Game Boy games.
3 games.
Yes, that is how many games.
Not 5. 5 is right out. But before we move on to the, news, the video game news, since it is Video Game Day, I would like to say, do the thing I've been doing for the last 2 weeks, and it'll end at the end of this week. We are going to be this weekend, October 6th, 7th, and 8th in Utica, New York for SITA-Con, SITA Con. It is an anime and gaming convention that...
Mostly anime,
but there's going to be pretty much 24/7 gaming.
Video gaming, mostly. But some also a little bit of role-playing gaming.
Yeah, also the fact that we're going to be bringing some German gaming.
Oh, we are definitely going to be breaking out some gaming of the Geeknights fashion.
So if you live anywhere within about 400 miles of Utica, New York, I highly recommend you come because regardless of this convention, which is a first-run convention, it could be hit or miss. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that it's automatically going to be awesome because I don't know. I'm optimistic. I think it'll be a good con, but I can guarantee 100%, you got the front row crew backing this up, there will be awesome to be had at this con.
Wait a minute. How much of the front row crew is backing this up? You and me, and that's it?
Well, we're pretty much the leaders.
Because everyone else copped out and they don't want to go.
The whole crew bailed on us.
Yeah, what the hell, guys? What the hell?
To their credit,
there's a convention right there, and you never fail to beat them once you're the master.
I wonder, we got to look up how long those games are, because that's something stupid we could do at a con. Mega Man 2 versus Bionic Commando, who beats it first?
Yeah, races and, single-player platformers.
Yeah, especially if you're playing 2 different games that happen to have similar lengths or something crazy like that.
Yeah, this actually reminds me of something, is that a long time ago, you may not know, but the Mega Man games for the NES and the SNES and whatever are different from the Mega Man games for the Game Boy.
You don't say.
Yeah, Mega Man 2 and 3 for the Game Boy and there are other Game Boy Mega Mans are not the same as Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 3 for the NES. They're different games.
Yeah, not just
they have some of the same bosses, but they're different games mostly.
Yeah, it's not just different like, they're in olive and brown instead of color. They're actually different games.
Yeah. So Capcom, they released a Mega Man mix, which is, Mega Man Anniversary Edition, which had all the Mega Mans. Then they had a Mega Man X, which had all the Mega Man X's. But they haven't released the supposedly going to be released Mega Man Game Boy mix.
Well, Scott, why haven't they released this wonderful gem that we've been waiting for all these years?
Well, a long time ago, there was some talking about, they lost code or something like that. And, yeah, whatever. The thing is, hey, couldn't they just get the cartridge? Because, I mean, I've seen cartridges around. They're not, super common, but they exist.
I'm pretty sure there's one at the GameStop or the EB or whatever across the river.
Yeah, and just rip the ROM out of it and put it on a Game Boy Advance cartridge with an emulator. Okay, there we go.
Though also, as a total aside, before we get into the actual video game stuff, to the people out there who kind of question, hey, have you guys ever seen Homestar Runner? The answer is yes. We are well aware of Homestar Runner.
Great jab there.
Home
slice.
We were watching them Homestar Runners back when there were only 10 strong bad emails.
Homestar, no.
Homestar, my favorite character.
Homestar is by far the best character because he is indeed the pride of the peaches.
I'm saving the best for last. All I'd like to say is that while Homestar is awesome, it played itself out for us pretty much 4 years ago.
Oh, the crap. All right, let's get crazy good nuts.
Okay, with the video game news, we'll start with Scott because my news isn't actually video game related at all.
You suck. Anyway, so last year, Activision made a study about video game advertising, and everyone said, hey, Activision sponsored that study. We can't trust it.
Now, you might remember Activision from such classic hits as Pitfall, River Raid,
MechWarrior 2. Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 decades ago, they were a great game company.
Well, they're a game publisher, and they publish some good games, and they publish some bad games. And what do you want?
I can't recall.
The fact that they've stuck around since the Atari days and they're still here is pretty impressive.
You know why? Because there are people who buy games like BMX XXX.
Yeah, I guess.
That is the reason people like Activision can continue to exist.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, at least you got to respect the fact that, you know, a company like Atari is now just like a part of another company.